we go. We are back once more with another live English stream. For those who love the English language, well, guess what? You've come to the right place because this is all about English. In fact, this is English Addict, coming to you live from the birthplace of the English language, which just happens to be, oh my goodness, it's England. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy? I hope you are feeling happy. I hope this morning when you open your eyes, I hope you were smiling and looking forward to another day of this strange and sometimes bewildering thing called life. Here we go then. My name is Mr. Duncan. I am Duncan. Some people call me Duncan. Some people call me other words that I can't say at the moment. I am one of those up there. I am an English addict. I like the English language, and I have a feeling the reason why you are here today is because you like English as well. So that's the introduction over with very quickly. I am not going to pretend that right now things are weird, especially here in the UK. If you are not living in the UK, you might find all of this rather strange, everything that's going on at the moment here in the UK. However, if you are here in the UK, you will know that things have been rather strange over the past few days, unusual. Some people have said historic, something that is historic, something that lots of people will remember for the rest of their lives, maybe something they've never seen before, something unique, a thing that happens that people have never experienced. A lot of that has been happening this week. And before I go any further, can I say thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who has sent messages of condolence for Mr. Steve's mother, who we sadly lost last week. She passed away last weekend. Steve and myself were very upset. However, we were also uplifted by all of your lovely messages. We received lots of cards as well through the post. And I think Steve might be showing some of the beautiful cards that were sent to him as well. It might seem strange to some people that you will receive cards, greeting cards, after a person dies, but it does happen quite often. Here in the UK, it is very common to send a condolence card. You show your feelings towards someone who has suffered a tragedy of some sort. We often use the word condolence. So thank you very much. It's been, how would I describe the past week? Difficult, but also in a strange way. And this is something that I've been surprised by this week, how things, thoughts, memories can come back to you. Maybe things you forgot about, maybe things that you haven't really thought much about. They suddenly come back and they seem fresh and vivid in your mind. Not necessarily bad memories. Quite often they are good memories, nice memories, happy memories. So that is what we are talking about today for a short time. Mr. Steve will be with us. We will see what happens with Steve today. He is much better, but we have had a few moments. I'm going to be honest with you, it's not been easy. I suppose when you think of all of the things that happen in your life that are seen as bad, I suppose the death of a loved one or a close relative is at the top. In fact, That's what most people say. It is the most stressful thing to go through. So as you can probably imagine, the last few days have been stressful. And let's not forget the timing of all of these things. Both of these events, one of which affects us personally, and the other that has affected many people around the country. Both of those things happening at the same time. So I have to be honest with you, when I switch the TV on and everyone is talking about the passing of the Queen, it is very hard not to also feel sad about everything that's happened over the past 7 days. I am not trying to forget about it. I am not trying to put it out of my mind, but it does make it a little bit more difficult, to say the least. Thank you very much for joining me today. Once again, thank you very much for your lovely messages. We do appreciate them. We have read them. I have to be honest, we haven't reacted to any of them. There are no likes on them, but we have read them. We haven't had time, unfortunately. As you can probably imagine, we've had other things to think about, sadly. We are here together today. We are talking all about impact. Now, I thought this is a very interesting word to talk about, the word impact. The way something can affect you, the thing that does affect you, and also, of course, the effect of that thing afterwards can be described as the impact, the effect. So you can feel the impact of something, or something can have an impact. So quite often you can describe these words as being both ways. You can create an impact. You can cause an impact. You might also feel an impact as well, physically and also figuratively as well. So in the literal sense, we mean something that is actually happening, a physical thing. And of course, in the figurative sense, we are using the word to describe another thing. So it is not exactly happening, it is not literal, it is happening figuratively. So something can have a figurative impact on you. And that's what we are talking about today. Nice to see so many people on the live chat. It is a strange one. I'm not going to lie to you. It has been a very strange few days. Tomorrow, of course, we are having a day of complete mourning. Tomorrow, for the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II. I'm sure you know what has happened. I'm sure you don't need me to explain any of that. Lots of people feeling sad. It's also very interesting to note how many people have come forward to express their, what's the word I'm looking for? Opposition to having a royal family. So these sorts of events always bring a lot of emotion. Some of that emotion is positive, and maybe some of that emotion is not so positive. So there are some people who are pushing or putting forward their opinion concerning having a royal family or a monarchy. And of course, there are those who want to keep it, want to continue the tradition, I suppose. I can think of some better words, maybe. Tradition, the formality, maybe, of having a royal family, having a monarchy. And you might be surprised, there are still many countries around the world. I wonder if you can name any countries that have a monarchy still. They have a king or queen. So here in the UK we had, until a few days ago, we had the Queen. Now we have the King. A lot of people getting used to saying that. I know during the week I've heard many TV presenters, many people on TV, still saying Prince Charles. It's okay, they won't be going to the Tower. They won't be arrested for doing that, but one or two people are still making that mistake. Instead of saying King Charles, they are still saying Prince Charles. Of course, now he is the King of England. And we have a new head of state. The strange thing is, and sometimes these things do happen where two things seem to happen at the same time, or they seem to collide. We also have a new leader, or a new prime minister, should I say, of the country as well. So this all happened literally at the same time, over the same period of time. Thank you very much for your company today. Nice to see you here, and it is lovely to have your company on a Sunday. Yes, it's Sunday. Definitely. I just checked to make sure. Thank you also for your messages concerning Mr. Steve and his new freedom from work. So Steve has officially, he doesn't want to use the word retired, by the way. He doesn't want to say retired. He seems to think that that has a negative connotation or meaning. So Steve doesn't want to say he's retired, but he has stopped working. He is taking a well-deserved rest from working. Of course, he's been working for the past 40 years. So if you've been working for 40 years, I think I have to be honest. I think Steve definitely deserves a rest. A little lie down. Hello to the live chat. Nice to see you all here as well on this rather weird day. Tomorrow it is the Queen's funeral taking place. Many places, many shops, many businesses. In fact, I would say virtually every business, every shop, everything tomorrow will be closed. In fact, I know all of the local shops here where I live, they will all be closed tomorrow during the funeral, and they will all reopen on Tuesday. So I think many businesses tomorrow will be closing as a mark of respect. Very interesting period of time. I've never known anything like this. I will be honest with you. The last time I felt anything like this, and let's be honest, it is a pretty historic thing. I suppose the last time I felt this was when Princess Diana was killed. Certainly from the point of the Queen dying, but on top of that, we also have our own personal events as well, as I've mentioned already. Hello to Vitas. Congratulations, Vitas. You are first on today's live chat. I will not give any applause today. It seems a little loud, a little boisterous, maybe. But congratulations, Vitas, for being first. We also have Maroots is here as well on the live chat. Nice to see you here. Beatrice is here. Thank you, Beatrice, for your lovely message during the week. Thank you very much. Also, Bruno is here. Switzerland. Oh, very nice. We have been talking over the past few days about going away. Next year, we are definitely going to try and have a meetup. 2023 will be the year that happens. Definitely. We've decided that. It is definitely going to happen. So we are going to try and arrange a little meetup, and that means myself, Mr. Steve, and perhaps also you as well. We haven't decided where or when, although we do have a little idea in the back of our minds, something that may or may not happen. But yes, we would like to arrange a special meetup. I know for a fact that Steve is really excited by the thought and the idea of meeting up next year. So hopefully we will be able to do that next year. Hello, Maria. Hello also to Alba. Nice to see you here as well. Also, Anna. Anna is back. Hello, Anna. Nice to see you back here today. It's lovely to see you once more on the live chat on this Sunday, the 18th of September. Who else is here today? We also have Mika watching in Japan. I know that there is a large storm. I think maybe it's already arrived in the south of Japan. A large storm heading towards Japan. So I hope you stay safe, Mika, and everyone watching in Japan. Hello also to Sandra Gonzalez is here today. It's nice to see you here. You are back with us. Thank you, Christina. Also, we have Edith. Hello, Edith. I haven't seen you for a while. It seems like a while since I've seen you, Edith. It's nice to have you back where you belong on the live chat. We also have He Is Back, one of our most regular viewers. You know who I'm talking about. Luis Mendez is here once more today. Hello, Lewis. Nice to see you back. Also, Claudia. Hello, Claudia. Once again, can I say thank you for your lovely message concerning Mr. Steve's mother. Very kind of you. Thank you for all of the messages. And we are going to try to get through today's live stream without getting too upset. So we will see what happens. Because this is the first time we've done anything live together since last Sunday when I did my live stream for just a few moments last week when I broke the news. So we will see what happens. We are testing the water. It's a great expression. In English, if we test the water, we are making sure that something is okay. Maybe we are trying to do something. Maybe we are just making sure that we can do it. So today we are testing the water to see if we can actually get through this live stream without breaking down. Hello, Magdalena. Nice to see you back also. Hello, Marwa. Marwa. Thank you very much for your lovely message about Mr. Steve's mum. Yes, it has been a very difficult week. I'm not going to lie to you. Alessandra is here as well. We also have Autumn. Hello, Autumn Smartphone is here today. Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Spain and Belgium. Royal families. Royal families. Yes. So there are many royal families, many monarchs around the world. So not just here. And of course, let's not forget Japan as well, with the monarch there, and also in Thailand as well. Thailand also has a monarch and also very strict rules concerning the way in which people can talk about their monarch in Thailand. I believe also there are very similar rules in Japan as well. Perhaps Mika could tell me about that. Hello, Sandra, once again. I was watching the news about the Queen. It is incredible. It is an example for the world. Yes, I suppose there is... Well, I suppose there are two different opinions at the moment about what is going on. Some people are saying that everything that is happening is suitable for someone who has been the head of a country for 70 years. And there are other people who think that maybe it is going on for too long. Some people have been complaining that the television, well, I must admit, when you turn the TV on, it has taken a while for all of the news programmes to start talking about other things. So I must admit, during the week, it did appear that nothing was happening in the world. So I suppose if some people wanted to find out information about other countries and what is happening in the world. And let's face it, there are a lot of things going on in the world at the moment, most of them not particularly good. So I can understand why some people might become annoyed and say there is too much of it. It's too much, some people are saying. Hello also to Christina. Tomorrow I will watch the Queen's funeral on TV. I was struck by the tradition of relatives guarding the coffin. I always liked the story of the English monarchy. Well, let's not forget, before we start getting too romantic about the English or British monarchy, we often think of the English monarchy, the British monarchy. It is a big subject, by the way, and for some people maybe a little controversial. So I have to be careful what I'm saying. I don't want to start any fights or arguments today. I want to keep it happy, if we can. But yes, over history, the monarch in this country, the king or queen, well, especially in the past, let's not lie about it. The British monarchy has been a little brutal in the past. Henry VIII is probably the best example of that. Treachery, treason. Let's not forget about King Henry VIII and his wives. Hello also to Lan Phuong. Hello to you. Nice to see you here as well. Nice to see so many people joining us. Hopefully Mr. Steve will be with us in a few moments. We will see what happens. Hello also, Unique Life Design is here as well. Thank you very much. We are looking at the subject of impact, and that seems rather suitable, to be honest. The impact, the feeling that something can give you, or something that can be left with you as a feeling. We will be looking at lots of words connected to that a little bit later on. Hello, Matt. Matt Lindell says, Mr. Duncan, you have to be careful. Please do not open a can of worms. It's an expression we use in English when you say something or bring up a certain subject that causes many people to become angry or upset. We can say that you have opened a can of worms, because everything comes out. You can't control it. You can't control what happens next. So we often say that. We often use that expression when a person has mentioned a subject or maybe something that might cause many people to become angry or upset. Maybe you might create a fight or an argument by saying something. So when we talk about things like politics or religion, quite often we describe those subjects or the mentioning of those subjects as opening a can of worms, because suddenly everyone wants to have their opinion. Everyone has something to say about it. Talking of saying things, we have Mr. Steve coming in a few moments. I hope he will be here. Christina says, all monarchies hide brutal events. You are right. When we think of many countries, and again, I don't want to get too deep into this, but many countries have their history. Some of their history is good. Some of their history is not so good. A very hot topic at the moment here in the UK and also in certain parts of the world as well. It is. So yes, Christina, you are right. But from a historical point of view, I always think it is interesting to know the history. Thank you, Christina. Well, I suppose another thing to mention, when we talk about history, when we talk about historical moments or time from the past, you also have to remember how civilization was during those times. the education level, the way in which people explored the world around them was very different. So I always think whenever you talk about history, you also have to bear or think about other things as well, such as the attitudes of that time or the way in which the world was run and the way in which people behaved as well during those particular periods. So I think it is worth mentioning. Hello, Shabar Khatri. Thank you very much for your super chat. What a lovely surprise. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I don't know what to say. It's not very often that I'm speechless, but thank you very much for sending a lovely super chat today. That's very kind of you. We have something lovely to look at in a few moments. I had a nice surprise this week, which, to be honest, was very welcome. I really did need a nice surprise this week. And I will be showing something to you that I noticed out of my window, something very lovely, something amazing, in fact, some lovely nature taking place right outside my window, coming up in a few moments. Mr. Steve will be here. He's on his way. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Mr. Steve will be with us in a few moments' time. So don't go away. There he was. In fact, I can tell you now, Mr. Steve was doing that yesterday in the garden. He was cutting the grass. Talking of Mr. Steve, yes, he is here. He is about to appear inside your computer as if by magic. Mr. Steve is on his way. Here we go.
Hello everyone. Hello, Mr. Duncan.
Hello, Mr. Steve.
How are you? How am I? Well, let's not go into that. Oh, Mr. Duncan, it's a lovely day outside. I've been out there in the garden. I've been clearing up bits of wood for us to burn during the winter.
Yes.
Yes, because we had some trees, some old bushes that were a conifer hedge that had died, and we had it chopped down, and I've been chopping up the logs, trying to keep myself busy and distracted away from certain events.
Well, what I was going to say is we're actually using them because the past 2 nights we've actually been lighting the fire. It is officially getting cold.
It is. Last night wasn't too bad, but it went below 20 degrees in the house.
Yeah, which feels cold.
Which is a bit on the chilly side when you've been used to sort of 33 or more. So, it was a time to light the fire and think about autumn and all those things associated with winter. Prepare. I like to prepare for the winter.
Yes. And that's what Mr. Steve is doing at the moment. He's been out in the garden. It would appear that once again we are at that time of year where we have things to do. Jobs suddenly need doing. Yesterday you were cutting the grass in the garden, making sure everything is prepared before those autumn days and winter nights.
As some people say, putting the garden to bed.
Yes. Normally people
elderly people tend to say.
Normally people over the age of 70 will say that.
Sounds like they're just covering up the garden, putting it to rest for a long sleep, almost like putting the garden into hibernation, waiting for spring. Because, of course, in lots of countries, this being one of them, we have quite distinct seasons.
We do?
So we do definitely have a spring, autumn, summer, winter, and we're in autumn at the moment. Are we officially in autumn? We must be.
I suppose it depends how you look at it. Well, from the start of September, it is the start of meteorological autumn. But I think officially, I think in the other way that we look at the seasons, I don't think it's actually started. Even though the other day I was walking from town and I noticed there were lots of leaves already on the ground as well. Now, I suppose we have to mention 2 things. First of all, the obvious one that you are probably aware of is the passing of the Queen of England. And tomorrow we have the funeral of the Queen, everywhere closed. But what I found strange, Steve, is the other day I was in the shop and people were trying to find out if they could get any fresh bread on Tuesday because many of the shops are closed. But of course, these days you can actually buy all the bread you need and keep it somewhere else, maybe in the freezer. So I was quite surprised that many people were starting to worry about the fact that because the shops were closed for just one day, that suddenly there would be a food shortage or a bread shortage. So I did hear a lot of people complaining, some people complaining about it. They said, oh no, we want to get our bread on Monday. How can we get our bread if you're closed?
Of course, we have to remember that it may be autumn here, but in other parts of the country, other parts of the world, for example, Beatrice says that they're waiting for spring.
Yes, in Argentina, it's springtime.
Yes, and so they're 6 months ahead of us.
Yes.
So we're approaching autumn. They're going into spring, and then summer. We used to have very distinct seasons, didn't we? Particularly when we grew up. Very cold winters, mildish springs, hottish summers, but now the seasons are sort of not so distinct, are they?
That's it.
We don't have such extremes of temperature. Mind you, we did this summer.
Yes.
And
that's the thing. That's the thing. No one seems to have their normal weather, and if they do have their normal weather, it is normally in the form of something extreme, like too much sun, too much heat, during summer. But it will be interesting to see what happens in winter, because there are those who believe, and I think looking back over the years, that if you have a very hot summer, that your winter will be harsh. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the way round. So if you have a very bad summer, hot summer, I think they often think that you will also have a very cold and bitter winter as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens next.
Everything evens out. So, for example, we've had very low rainfall all summer. Very unusual. There's been droughts, as we've discussed. And it's very dry still now. We've had very little rain.
I think the droughts have gone already. Nobody seems to be talking about them.
But we've still had very, very little rain. Normally, I mean, I remember this time last year, if I was walking at the back, Mr. Duncan, for my usual walk or when I go running, it was soggy and wet, but it's almost bone dry. But, you know, everything evens out. So we are going to get a lot of rain at some point. To balance out the fact that we've had very little. So I suspect it could well be a cold and wet winter. And the precipitation, as you call it, the rain, snow, whatever comes down from the sky that's got water in it. I think that's a meteorological term, probably, precipitation. It could well be snow.
Yeah. We'll see.
Get a lot of. Let's see.
The good thing is you will share it with us, because we will be here during the winter, so we can all experience the British winter together. That sounds like fun.
Saturino says, "Do you keep your bread in the freezer?" Yes. Bread. A lot of things freeze well, and bread is one of them. So fruit doesn't freeze very well. Tends to go all mushy when you defrost it. But things like meat freeze very well. Obviously peas do, certain vegetables. And bread is a great way, because you can I mean, I don't like to go out every other day or every day to get fresh bread. So we tend to buy a lot of loaves, enough for the week, and then freeze it. And when you defrost bread, it almost comes out as good as fresh. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. So it is a very good thing to freeze to save you having to go out every day to get fresh bread.
Things like bread, because it doesn't last very long, maybe a couple of days, and then it goes hard or stale. There's nothing worse than stale bread. So sometimes it is good to have a store of certain types of food. Sometimes you stockpile the food as well. So things you can preserve, like bread. Fish is another one. Fish is very good. You can freeze fish, freeze bread, freeze meat. So many things you can actually just put in the freezer and forget about.
And hope you don't get a power cut.
Well, there is that.
In which case you hope that the contents of your freezer are covered by your house insurance policy.
Yes.
But then again, of course, you probably only lose... If you had a freezer full of food, maybe, and there could be maybe £100 or £200 worth of food in there, you've probably got an excess on your policy, so you probably wouldn't get the money back for it anyway.
No.
So yeah,
I don't think anyone claims insurance on the food in their freezer.
But it often is covered by your insurance policy.
Yes. But I don't think they would consider it, to be honest.
But of course, we want
my fish fingers have gone soft.
You would have to just cook everything, wouldn't you, and put it in the... That's it. So if you've got meat in the fridge, you would have to, and you had a power cut or your fridge broke, you'd have to cook it all, cook everything, then leave it in the refrigerator, and then when your deep freezer's working again, you can freeze the cooked meals and eat them anyway.
This is very in depth.
It is really, probably too much.
Now, what do you want to talk about, Steve? Because there is one thing I want to talk about, but I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Well, it's part of life. Death is part of life, as we know.
Yes, and for those who don't know, I suppose we should explain. Besides the Queen of England passing away, we also had our own personal loss last week, which made everything even more surreal. I have to be honest with you. If you had told me at the start of this year that the events of the past week would have happened, we would never have believed you. But here we are now, a week later. So sadly, Mr. Steve's mother passed away. Can I say thank you very much once again? Both of us. I love reading the messages, and we do appreciate it. It's at bad times. It's at moments like this when you realise how important it is to have other people in your life. Maybe people that you don't even know personally, but you are still there. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your warm wishes and your because it really does help, as many of you will know who have had obviously losses, and we were actually. I mean, the first few days were very difficult.
Yes.
And lots of everybody goes through this in life. Everybody has tragedies. Everybody has people that are very close to them that die, sadly pass away. And we were remarking actually that we have reached quite. I mean, I'm over 60 years old now.
Yes, and I'm approaching 60.
And some people have tragedies that happen in their lives when they're very young. But for myself, it's the first. I mean, my father died, I know, 10 years ago, but I think your mother dying has a greater impact.
I think so.
And we were only remarking that, I've been very lucky to go through, all these years and not have, a really bad tragedy or something that is really somebody dying in the family that's really upsetting. Well, some people have brothers or sisters that die, they have children that die, people suddenly die in car accidents. And I've managed to go this long in my life without having, a significant, something that's really affected me. So, time catches up with you.
Yes.
And eventually, of course, we all have to go through this.
So I think both of us have been quite sheltered in life. We've been quite lucky, I suppose. I know that's probably the wrong word to use, but we have been quite lucky in the fact that we've never really had any lessons from life that have been harsh and maybe something that could change your view of things around you. So, and this is it. This is both of us are learning this lesson over the past few days.
And just want to reiterate what Mr. Duncan had said. Thank you very much for all your kind wishes and your notes of sympathy and also supportive comments as well. I've noticed quite a few people have sent very nice supportive comments in the live chat as well as personal messages that I've had as well. And that's what helps at this time. And of course, if we know that if that happens to anybody else, we will be able to give you our support back in return as well, because that's what it's all about.
It is. That's it. That's what humanity is supposed to be about. Civilized society, people taking care of each other, and I like to think that does happen.
But it has been. Sorry, Mr. Duncan.
No,
it has been surreal. The Queen died one day, and then the mum died the next.
It was. I think it was 2 days. Yes, 2
about
days.
A day
after.
and a half. So it has been. Quite strange time, because it's difficult to watch the television because we've had sort of wall-to-wall coverage in the UK about the Queen's death and all the various ceremonial taking places that have been going on. And you can't get away from it on the news at the moment in the UK. So it's a constant reminder of death and of somebody passing. So I don't think we'll forget this, will we?
I'm never going to forget this. The one thing, you know me. Can I just say, you know me? I always manage to turn something into maybe a joke or a light-hearted thing. But I had a little thought during the week that passed through my brain, and it was your mother was determined.
Yes.
Determined to outlive the Queen.
Oh.
That's how I see it. That's all I'm saying. But it did bring a little smile to my face, and I think even your mum would have appreciated that. You actually, no, you're not, and no, you're not. So that's what I think.
Yes, time heals all wounds. It's a natural process. Grieving is they say there are 5 or 7 stages. You go through it and you come out the other side. course, you never forget that loved one that's died, but at least you can, move on with your life and start to function again. And I feel as though I'm starting to go through that phase a bit, Mr. Duncan.
I think this is a test of those phases. I think standing here now live, Steve, I think it's very brave of you, actually.
Yes, Saturino, that's exactly right. When a parent's died, in the first few days, you start to look where they were and where they used to sit. And something that was, I used to call my mother every day. She had an iPad. That's the one bit of technical equipment she could use. And I used to call her every day on the iPad. And that started during the pandemic because Mum was on her own, which was an awful time for her. But at least we were able to see each other every day through the iPad. And I keep saying to you, Mr. Duncan, I used to always call her about 8 o'clock at night. We'd eaten, and then I'd go upstairs and call her on the iPad. And it's been a bit difficult, And in fact, several times I've said to you, I'm just going to, in my mind, I eat and then I go upstairs and then I'm getting halfway up the stairs and realising I can't do that anymore. So as you say, Saturina, these are the things which you suddenly realise you can't do anymore. It is very final. And there's always things you wish you'd said, maybe some things you wished you hadn't said.
Yes.
But you can't do anything about that now. So I think the message is treasure your loved ones because one day they won't be there.
That's it. I think that's definitely something you can take away. There's a beautiful poem. I don't remember all of the lines from the poem, but there is a beautiful poem that expresses that feeling of making sure a person who is with you is appreciated. It's called Give Them the Flowers Now. So instead of taking the flowers to a funeral or as a memorial, you should give the flowers to that person so they can see them, so they can look at the beautiful colours, and so they can smell, they can enjoy the aroma and feel the nature near them when they are alive. So give them the flowers now when they are with you.
Good point, Mr. Duncan. I've had some lovely sympathy cards from friends.
Well, this is something, I'm not sure if this happens everywhere, but we often send cards to other people when something happens, something tragic. And we often send maybe a sympathy card, a condolence card. Condolence is an interesting word, isn't it?
Yes.
You are offering your support. You are also offering your feelings of sorrow to that person, your condolences, your sympathy. So condolence is a type of sympathy. You are offering support. You are offering sympathy to that person.
It's all part of the process.
It is.
And it's just a human thing to do. It's a very human thing to do. When somebody's suffering through grief, it's a very human thing to do, to offer support in that way. And to say words that would encourage the person to come out the other side and get on with their lives. But the first few days are the difficult thing.
But I think the thing I'm always going to remember of this time is the fact that two things were happening at the same time.
Yes.
I suppose one of them isn't really affecting us directly, but it is hard to escape. We even have a TV channel at the moment that is just showing the Queen lying in state at Westminster Hall, and all of the general public, the people who are waiting for many, many hours to actually go by, to actually pay their own personal respects to the Queen lying in state, which reminds me of the time I did that for the Queen Mother.
You did?
So when the Queen Mother passed away, I actually went all the way to London just for one day so I could go through Westminster Hall, the same place, and just pay my respects to the Queen Mother, because I felt, not because I'm a royalist, because I wouldn't describe myself as that. I'm certainly not a monarchist. However, I do appreciate the impact that these historical moments have. So I just literally wanted to be there and experience that thing, that moment of time. It's very strange. So
some people have been queuing for 13 hours.
Yeah, well, 22 hours was the longest.
22 now?
I think it's gone down now to about... In fact, I think that the news this morning said that they've closed the queue.
Right.
So people can now not join the queue. So I don't know how true that is, but you know what the media is like. Sometimes they say one thing and then they say another thing. So as I understand it, the queue, you cannot join the queue anymore because it will be ending in just a few hours.
It's several miles long, I think.
Yes.
But certainly, well, that's incredible. I mean, last night they were saying 13 hours. Now, of course, they're saying 22. Of course, I think the fact that the whole thing is being televised is probably encouraging more people to go.
Yes.
And it's something that we British love to do. We love to queue in an orderly fashion.
I think that's so fitting. It's just so suitable. The way the British people have decided to do this is to stand in a 5-mile queue. Nothing is more British than standing in a very long, slow-moving queue. We love it.
Oh, yes. Buses, if you're queuing for groceries, anything, you will always see an orderly queue. And when we go abroad to other countries that don't really do any queuing, I've done that before when you're waiting for a bus and then suddenly everybody just dives for the bus. There's no orderly queues. Whereas if that happened in the UK and somebody jumped the queue, there'd be a fight.
Yes. Never. If you are coming to the UK and you see a line of people queuing up, never push in because you might not survive.
There will be comments.
Comments. There will be violence.
Of course, you made a funny remark about queues, didn't you, Mr. Duncan?
I did.
People,
yes.
People going in long queues.
Well, what I had this very, very strange sort of image of people getting into the wrong queue, and they thought they were queuing up for the new iPhone, and in fact, by mistake, they had joined the queue to go and see the Queen. So I just had this strange thought in my head. I don't know if it's in bad taste, but it did make me smile, and it made Mr. Steve laugh as well. And let's face it, we need a little bit of a laugh.
We do, yes.
At the moment.
Imagine, yes, because of course people do queue for the new iPhones and iPads, don't they?
Yes.
Yes. Imagine being in a 13-hour queue to go and see the Queen, and in fact you were in the queue for the iPad instead,
iPhone.
or vice versa.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Well, there's a new iPhone coming out, which apparently is completely the same as the last one.
Well, that's their business model. They make little slight tweaks to the product, but there's something in there that somebody wants, and somebody wants to say that they have the latest version.
Yes, it's just about showing off to your friends.
Yes, I think the thing that they're hyping at the moment, Apple, is that you can link up to satellites now.
Yes.
Can't you? That's what they're saying. It's compatible with satellites, so that
apparently
it doesn't matter where you go, you can always make a phone call.
I've done some research on this, Steve. It's actually the emergency service on the phone that's linked apparently to a satellite service. So now you can literally get lost or stranded anywhere on the planet, they say, and you can be found. You can be found by it.
But you can't watch a YouTube video.
I don't think so.
In the middle of the Amazon rainforest. Then.
No, or in
so
the
it's
middle.
Just for emergency purposes.
As
only.
I understand, it's the emergency connection. However, the problem is it doesn't work. Because as you said the other day to me, the satellite is too far away and the signal from the phone is too weak. So that even though it seems like a very good idea, I think at the moment it's not working. However, as technology changes, I think it will work, especially when Elon Musk puts some more of those little satellites into space.
Well, if you're going to go into remote areas, there are other devices you can buy, aren't there, if you want to be rescued?
Flares.
Flares, yes.
Not the trousers, but the rocket with the...
You can buy GPS sort of trackers or something, I don't know. But I'm sure if you were going off into the middle of nowhere, you wouldn't rely on the latest iPhone to help you out. You would take some professional equipment with you, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you sort of were rock climbing and broke your ankle, or you're halfway up Mount Everest or something.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't be relying on an iPhone to help you out.
No.
Shall I show some of my cards? Is that appropriate time, Mr. Duncan?
I think so, because as I mentioned earlier, we have a tradition. Maybe it doesn't happen all the time around the world, but here, if a person has a tragedy in their life, quite often they will receive condolence cards or sympathy cards. So we love sharing everything with you, the good things and the not so happy things. So I thought it would be interesting just to show them, because it may be where you are, perhaps you don't do that.
Or they might be different.
Yes, so you might not send cards. Maybe you think it's a little distasteful or in bad taste. But here we do. We like to let the other person know that we are thinking of them. So quite often we will send sympathy cards or condolence cards.
Yes, the reason that we're both in black today is for two reasons, actually. It is for the Queen, because everyone's wearing black, because we're in this period of national mourning, aren't we?
Yes, so it all comes to an end tomorrow
Tomorrow.
with the funeral.
But also, obviously, because of my own personal loss. But here we go. Do you want to you hold them up, Mr. Duncan, because
Okay.
I'm not very good at showing. Oh, it looks very good against your black T-shirt, Mr.
Yes.
Duncan.
There's one thing about black. Black is always very good as a background.
So there we go. Just fairly simple, with sympathy and a heart. And that is from a work colleague of mine, well, a friend of mine who is not just a work colleague, but a very dear friend, Caroline.
Yes.
And she sent me that lovely card.
Isn't that lovely?
That I met up with some of my friends on Thursday, which was lovely.
So I'm just wondering, what about you where you are? Do you do this? Do you send sympathy cards to each other? I know many people send birthday cards, which is probably the complete opposite when you think about it. It's the complete opposite end. Here's another one. Some of these might appear strange on the screen because there might be some green in them. But that's another nice one. And there are some beautiful flowers there.
And often there are words inside that will help you to think about your loss and help you to overcome it. May the caring thoughts of others comfort you at this sad time, is what it says in here. And this is from actually my mother's sister,
Yes.
who is still alive. She's 90. And in fact, my mother still has a sister and two brothers that are still alive. She still has a brother who's 96, another brother who's 94, and a sister who's 90.
So there is a lot of what we call longevity.
Yes.
Longevity is the instance of a person living or something lasting for a long period of time.
So may the caring thoughts of others comfort you at this sad time. So the fact that people are thinking about you gives you comfort, and you know that's the message in that one.
I was going to also mention that in Italy they don't do it.
Right.
We've just been told in Italy they don't send condolence cards or sympathy. I think flowers are often given, normally at the point of the funeral or some sort of memorial. Quite often flowers are laid. But as I said earlier, I think it's nicer. I think it's much nicer to give that person the flowers when they can still see them and smell them and feel them.
Claudia's saying they don't do it in... Claudia, of course, is in... I want to say Argentina, but it's not. It's oh, is it?
Argentina,
yes. That's right. Yes, I'm getting... Yes. So they don't do that in Argentina, so maybe that's... Yep, so that's interesting. So not Italy, not Argentina. Germany do, Czech Republic do. It's just different customs, isn't it? We've always sent them here. Here's another nice one.
Isn't that beautiful? And that says that the writing is very small, with sympathy on the loss of your mum. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful.
We like to send cards.
Lots of flowers.
Usually flowers, sometimes lilies. Although my mother hated lilies. In fact, we've got to be careful when we're going to put a spray of flowers on Mum's coffin. And we've got to be careful when we tell the florist. So the florist is the shop that sells the flowers.
And the message is...
do not put lilies on my
No,
mother's coffin because
no
she did not
lily.
like lilies. In fact, my mother used to say, if you obviously you buy flowers for people at birthdays, for mothers and Mother's Day, and I always used to buy my mother flowers. But she said, I don't want lilies. Don't get me lilies. It reminds me of funerals.
yes, because quite often lilies are either thrown or they are displayed.
And they've got a very strong scent. So unlike a lot of flowers where you can't always smell them, lilies have got a very, very powerful perfume. My mother always hated them.
Very
because
strong.
They remind her of funerals. So there is no way we are going to put lilies on top of my mother's coffin.
Yes.
Caring thoughts are with you at this sad time. From another friend of mine.
Yes. But
There's
as I
another
said
one.
earlier, there is an element of longevity in your family on your mother's side.
Certainly on my mother's
Yes.
side, yes.
They're all living to a ripe old age.
Yes, well, my mother would have done if she hadn't been sadly struck with what she had.
91, by the way, those wondering. 91, Mr. Steve's mother was.
From my cousin.
Not as old as the Queen.
Yeah, there's another one.
That's
Show you
very...
that.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in that card. And it says, with deepest sympathy. That's a very common way of expressing or putting that on a condolence card. Please know that at this time, when sadness touches you, these words of comfort come with warm sentiments so true.
That's it. It's actually a rhyme, isn't it?
Please know that at this time when sadness touches you, these words of comfort come with warm sentiments so true. And the words are,
There's a lot going on with this card. This is a very busy card.
this again is from a friend of mine, and through your heart, and though your heart is aching, and you know not what to do to escape the deepest sorrow that seems to shadow you, may these heartfelt words of sympathy help somehow to ease your pain until the healing time begins, and let the sun through once again.
So with the sadness comes happy memories, and hopefully during the dark time there will be the return of sunshine.
Yes.
The happy thoughts, the happy memories. Well, that's really what I said earlier as well. It's very hard to think of someone who's recently passed, without thinking of all the nice memories. And I suppose the best way of showing that, Steve, is photographs. We have so many photographs of Steve's mum when she was with us, all the years that she's been coming.
Which
to see
reminds
us.
me, we need to find a younger photograph of my mother
Okay,
to put on the order of service.
it's an
I'm
interesting.
just telling you now in front of everybody.
Okay, that's good.
We need that fairly quickly, so we'll have to end quickly, so Mr. Duncan, so you can do that. Here's another one with sympathy and flowers again. By the way, they do in the Netherlands. Says Tomek, they do send condolence cards as well.
Yeah, and flowers. I bet they send flowers because they're surrounded by flowers.
Lots of flowers, yes. We import a lot of flowers from the Netherlands. In fact, I think the royal families of the Netherlands and the UK are very closely connected.
Well,
we
I
learned
mentioned-
about.
Yes, I mentioned that earlier about other countries that have monarchs. So we often think of this country as having a monarch, but it's amazing how many other countries, European countries, many still have a king and queen, a queen, if it's a lady, or a king, like here. Now we have King Charles III, just in case we've forgotten. Everyone keeps saying that again and again, just so we remember.
Thinking of you at this difficult time, it says inside. So, yeah, people are thinking, and we know you are too, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is that it? Is that all I got?
That's it. Well, you didn't get them. Have to
I'm
be
only
honest.
joking. I'm only joking.
Yes.
Oh, yes, right, okay. Visit tombs. Yes, Sebastian talks about a special day in Mexico
Mm.
where they celebrate people that have died,
Mm.
and we put ofrenda, that must be like offerings,
Mm.
flowers, food, pictures, and we visit the tombs.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very nice. I like that.
Yeah,
So
I thi-
one particular day.
I think it's called Ancestors' Day. I might be wrong, but they have similar traditions in Asia as well, in Japan and also in China. Tomb sweeping, they call it in China. So they go and they tend to the grave or the tomb of one of their relatives, normally their parents, and they will clean, they will tend, they will do a lot of things
Yes, that's interesting.
to show respect.
Thanks for that, Sebastian. It's nice to know, cultures in other countries. So you've got a specific day. And that actually brings to mind, talking of tombs, that would be TOMBS, wouldn't it?
Tomb, yes. The B is silent.
Spelling on that rather than the way that you've done it there. But, we are an English teaching channel.
Mm.
Yes, it would be TUB. The B comes before the M. So, yes, in this country, certainly in our country, probably in other countries, there are different customs for dealing with the deceased's body.
Okay, this is.
Aren't there?
I have to be honest. Can I just stop you there? I was not expecting this, by the way.
Well,
I didn't think we were going to go this far.
No,
into
I wasn't going. All I was going to say, Mr. Duncan, I think I know what you thought I was going to talk about, but it probably wasn't.
I don't know.
So, the two traditional ways in this country is burial
Okay.
or cremation.
Yes.
And of course, we know other cultures, like in India, the body is burnt.
And then put into the Ganges.
And then put into the Ganges.
Yes.
Different cultures everywhere. So normally, I think the traditional way in this country was always a burial. So the whole body is buried 6 feet under, and then you've got a headstone or a tomb, but usually just a headstone. You only get tombs in this country if you're wealthy. So a tomb is like a proper sort of obvious concrete structure above ground.
Concrete.
Well, or stone.
It's
a tomb is a.
It's a pile of breeze blocks.
Whereas normally in the UK, I suppose it depends on how much money you've got, of course.
Yes.
You just bury the body 6 feet underground, and then you have an outline and a headstone with whatever, the name of the person, when they were born, when they died, and then a few words from in loving memory or something like that on the headstone.
Normally R.I.P.
Yes. That's what we do mostly in the UK. But of course, you run out of places to bury people. We're only a small island, so
I don't think we're that full, are we?
Well, but the thing is, yes, well, that's why cremation has become a more popular way. Most people are now cremated in the UK, I believe.
Mm.
And then you just end up with a little container full of the person's ashes.
I'm sorry, the way you're explaining this, I don't know why I'm laughing. I shouldn't be.
But the thing is, you know, Mr. Duncan, I like to visit a grave.
I'm sorry. But
No, I like to visit a grave.
I'm not crying. I'm just finding the way you're describing that. There's not enough room. We haven't got. Look. It's only a very tiny island we live on. We would have to start stacking everyone on top of each other. You could always build. Yes.
Saturino, just going off subject, Saturino has said the chrysanthemum flower is the symbol of death.
Okay.
Well, very interesting you should mention that, Saturino, because the other flower that my mum's always hated is chrysanthemums.
Oh, okay. So which flowers does your mum like?
She likes freesias, her favourite ones, freesias.
Freesias?
Freesias.
What? I don't even know what that looks like.
They're just colourful, got a nice scent to them.
Yeah.
Or tulips or roses. But she hates, well, that's actually, so I didn't know that the chrysanthemum Saturino is the symbol of, flower symbol of death.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, obviously my mother knew that.
Okay.
and lilies are too. So that's why my mother didn't like lilies or chrysanthemums, because they reminded her of death.
Oh, by the way, there are 3 ways, of course. 3 ways. So cremation, burial, but also you can leave...
Sent into space?
You can... Oh, okay.
Go on.
That's just... You can leave your body to medical science, which is what I'm going to do. So when I snuff it, I'm going to actually leave my body to the doctors, so they can have a look at this wonderful specimen, and they can take it all to pieces and have a little look and put little bits of me in jars. But there will be one thing I have to say: it has to have my name on it. So don't just put brain or pancreas. It has to say Mr. Duncan, Mr. Duncan's brain. It will be a very small jar, I know. Before you say anything, I know what you're going to say. It will be a very small jar, very small. But that's it. Yes, I'm donating my body to medical science.
And then the doctors can compare you with a normal, healthy human being.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. Well, you described me as the moment that the Elephant Man was put on display. You say I will be put next to the Elephant Man. Thanks, Steve.
See, Mika, we are going to clean our family's grave next week. You see, I like that. I like somewhere. I know not everybody likes burials, but I want to. If somebody dies that's very close to me, I want to be able to visit them. If anything happened to you, Mr. Duncan, I would want somewhere to go and visit.
Well, you can come to the laboratory, and you can look at me in all the jars. You'll never be far away from me.
Do you think I'd recognise all the parts?
Yes. Well, some of the parts might be a little bit worn out or shriveled,
wizened.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, they look like that now.
Yes, but no. For me personally, I like to visit a grave or a burial site, because if you're very close to somebody, that would give me a connection. I know they've died, but I mean, when my father died, he was cremated. This was 10 years ago, and his ashes were spread at sea because he was a sailor.
That's it.
And he loved the sea, and his wishes were that his ashes were spread at sea. But we've got nowhere to visit. I can't visit my father and say anything. I've got nowhere physically to go.
You can go for a swim.
Go for a swim, yeah, I could do, you're right. That, I don't know. So my mother wanted to be cremated, but I would have preferred her to be buried, because then I can go and visit her and put some flowers and tend to the grave and say a few words.
Yes. Well, some people, of course, keep the ashes in their house in a little pot.
They do.
Yes. So you don't have to sprinkle them anywhere. You can take them home with you in a little pot and keep them next to the television.
Yes, Beatrice says, they do that a lot in America. I know they probably do it in other countries, but certainly in America they do that a lot. And don't know that we do that much here. Yes, Beatrice says, so chrysanthemums and lilies both are symbols of death.
Okay.
Where Beatrice lives. So interesting, isn't it? So maybe it was in this country, many years ago when my mother was born, back in the 1930s she was born. So around that time, maybe it still was here. Which is why my mother remembers that. So when she used to go to funerals, there were probably always chrysanthemums or lilies. So, yeah, interesting, very interesting.
One of the places where funerals are crazy funerals, and I've experienced this myself when I was there, China. Some of their funerals go on for 2 weeks, and quite often they will set up a small memorial very similar to what's happening with the Queen at the moment, and they will have a little memorial with the body actually in that place, normally near the houses, and all of the neighbours and all of the people will come, and they will come and pay their respects, and quite often the relatives will stand guard. Isn't that strange? Just like we are seeing here now in the UK. And it goes on for normally 2 weeks. And quite often they will have a procession where very strange music is played. They normally use trumpets or things that sound like horns. And they will play those. And quite often people will dress in white robes as well. They will proceed along the road in white robes, and they will actually cry and wail as they are marching. Apparently it's incredibly intense.
I think it's probably very healthy, because one of the stages of grief is crying and all, but some people hold that in, which is probably very unhealthy. But if you're sort of forced to do it, then it's helping you. I think that helps you overcome, because you have to let that emotion out. You can't hold it in. So maybe a ceremony where everybody is getting very upset, it's a way of helping you to get those emotions out. It's probably very healthy. Now, the 1st of November seemed to be quite significant in a number of countries.
Yeah.
So Vitas has said that on the 1st of November they remember the dead relatives. And Lewis has said on the 1st of November in France, people go to cemeteries carrying flowers and put them on the, we would say, graves. Tombs to us in the UK means a specific thing. It means a large structure made of stone.
It's normally a chamber of some sort.
Yes.
So normally a chamber that's above ground, or quite often below ground. And the one below ground is often referred to as a crypt. And sometimes in a tomb you will have more than one person as well. So you can have a very large tomb with 2 or 3 people, or a large tomb for someone important, and also a large structure that is just there as a memorial as well. So there might not even be a person there. I can't believe we're talking about this, by the way. If there is one thing I did not think we were going to talk about today, it's everything, basically. Everything we've said.
That's it. So we would always say a grave in the UK, Grave. We would always refer to somebody's grave if they've been buried. Because normally people are just put in a wooden coffin and then buried 6 feet under, earth thrown on top.
The Queen, of course, is going into a tomb.
She's going into a tomb. So a tomb is a specific structure.
Yes.
That could be, as Mr. Duncan said, usually made of stone, expensive. Somebody is put into there. Either it could be above ground or below ground. And usually, so we wouldn't use the word tomb unless it was somebody who was quite wealthy and could afford, or prominent in society, and would have been buried in, like, for example, in Much Wenlock, in the church there, in the graveyard there are a lot of tombs.
Yes.
Granite, solid stone. And obviously they're wealthy people because they could have afforded to have this done. Most people are just buried, and you would call that a grave.
It can also be used to describe something serious, maybe something that must be talked about immediately, maybe something that is of grave concern. It is important, something that has a lot of gravity. So again, gravity means something that is important, or how important something is. So a grave event is serious and maybe also solemn. So it's interesting to see how that word is used.
In Germany, says Magdalena, thinks you're not allowed to take the ashes home.
Oh, okay.
They often have a lot of strict laws in Germany. So that doesn't surprise me. But we are here. Surprising how heavy they are, Mr. Duncan. Because I remember when we collected my father's ashes, they're quite heavy. Heavier than I thought. But I don't know what we're going to do. I think what we're going to do with my mother is I want somewhere to visit. So we're going to have a little site, and we're going to, bury the ashes and have a small plot, as you would say. Plot in a cemetery. If you have a plot, it just means a little area of ground that you pay for, and then you've got somewhere to visit. You can plant a tree or put a bench there, something like that, so that you've just got somewhere to go, and then once a year you can go and visit. Say, hi, Mum.
Someone actually did mention that earlier. They asked, do you ever have maybe a seat or a bench somewhere nearby that you can maybe have their name put on the actual bench? And yes, that does happen. Here in Much Wenlock, there are many benches, many seats, public sitting areas that have someone's name on the back to remember them. So yes, it does happen quite a lot.
Here's another interesting point, Mr. Duncan. William says, how many days after the person's died is the body usually buried? In Brazil, it's usually the next day. Well, in a lot of cultures, that is true. That in the UK, there isn't really a specific time period. Well, not for Church of England. Depends on your religion. But certainly in the UK, I mean, my mother's funeral's 2 weeks tomorrow. So that'll be, over 3 weeks after she died. And that's fairly normal.
Yes, it can be. It can be a month. It can be a month and a half.
Can be longer. Can be up to 6 weeks.
But it's interesting you mentioned certain cultures. Yes, quite often I think in Islam, I think you have to be buried before the sun sets, as I understand it.
Yes, that's important. I mean, I've never known, because at least in the UK, I think because as well of the nature of the fact that people don't always grow up with their family all around them now. People leave home, people move away, have jobs in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world. And that period, that 2 weeks, I've never been to a funeral under 2 weeks, I don't think, when someone's died.
No, I think it's unusual.
Unusual to be less than 2 weeks for most British-born people.
Unless, of course, there is no body.
Yes. Of course, it takes longer if there's got to be an autopsy, if there's got to be an examination as to why that person died beforehand for legal reasons, then that period of time can extend further. And of course, bodies are refrigerated to stop them,
Steve,
deteriorating. But yes, I mean, normally, of course, that the tradition to bury the body or to burn the body as quickly as possible, would of course been a health issue, dating back maybe before refrigeration and all that. You don't want a dead body hanging around for long because we don't need to explain why, but it would be very healthy and better for everyone if that burial or that ceremony took place as quickly as possible. Because, as I said, we don't need to go into the details why.
Especially hot countries.
But particularly hot countries, you don't want dead bodies hanging around. So the ceremony, the funeral, is going to take place very quickly for purely practical medical health reasons.
This live stream has gone in a very, very strange direction. I was not expecting any of this today.
Yeah, well, people are asking questions. It's good to talk about these things. I think it's good.
What, at this moment?
Well, I mean, does it matter?
Oh, there's another one as well. You can do what Chairman Mao did in China. He's in a giant vat of formaldehyde, so he floats around in this big box, and everyone can still go there and see Chairman Mao.
Valentin, the tradition where they are.
This hasn't Lenin. I think Lenin as well. I want to say Lenin.
Yeah, he used to be on display, Lenin, didn't he?
Yes. Was he in a vat of formaldehyde or something else?
Burying on the third day, says Valentin. Don't know where you are, Valentin. Perhaps you'd like to tell us. I've forgotten. Yes, Magdalena. says, have you heard about the method to press the ash into a diamond?
I have.
Yes. Well, you actually mentioned that.
I mentioned it last
to
week.
my sister last week.
Yes, we were talking about this, and I said there are people now who have the ashes. They have them crushed and processed. I think they heat it up to a very high temperature and then compress it together, and it turns into a stone, very similar to
Like
a
a
diamond.
diamond.
And then they put it in some jewellery, maybe some nice earrings, or maybe a necklace. I don't know what you think of that, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Alessandra says, I mean, this is referring back to something I said about wanting somewhere to go to visit the deceased, like a grave, somewhere to go to speak, to be able to speak and say a few words. But Alessandra has said that just speak with my father when I'm alone in the house, and you
Yes.
still feel them near to you.
Yeah.
Lewis said something similar about his mother as well.
Of course, there have been situations where a relative who's maybe one of their parents has died and they haven't, and this, I know this is awful, what I'm about to say, but they haven't done anything. They just keep them there with them because they can't part with them.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's right, yes.
What fresh hell is that?
Yeah, so everyone's got different ways of dealing with their loss and different traditions, of course. In Switzerland, there are forests where ashes are buried at the roots of a tree. Yes, so that's Bruno says that. And of course, then you can imagine that the essence of that person is then being taken up by the tree, can't you? And you can imagine that their parts of their body are then going into the ground and the tree is absorbing it, and so new life in a way is created from that death.
The grass in a cemetery always looks brilliant, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it is. Apparently Lenin does lie in a mausoleum in Red Square. So yes, Chairman Mao was preserved. Apparently I think it's every 5 years or something, they have to take him out, and I don't know. Sorry, this is such a strange direction that we're going in. This is not what we normally do, by the way.
Well, yeah.
If you're not a regular viewer, but things are strange, and circumstances have come at us, at Mr. Steve and myself, mainly Mr. Steve, a little faster than we were expecting.
Palmyra says that she grew up near a cemetery and it had a huge impact. Yes, I'm not surprised.
Impact.
Well, I something that's happening in the UK, particularly in the Church of England, which is our predominant religion here in the UK, is that attendance at churches on a Sunday, attendance at Church of England, has diminished a lot over the last number of decades. And churches are having to close down because of they're not getting any money coming in to restore them. Church of England can't afford it. Attendances are dropping. So what the Church of England are doing is selling off their old churches, big stone churches, probably built hundreds of years ago. And you can quite often, and my friend bought an old church, and the church was converted into four houses.
Okay.
So the outside still is a church, looks like a church, but in fact inside it's got different people can live in there.
Oh, I see. There is the font and the pews and the place where the priest or the vicar would stand has gone.
That's some people might find that very strange, but you could literally, the church is converted into a house, and sometimes if it's a small church, one family might live in it, so they then they put floors in and things like that.
Yes, I
and
think
you're living inside the old church.
Yes.
And my friend that did this bought this church. Well, it had been converted by builders.
Yes, because what they have to do something called deconsecration. So when you have a church, it has to be blessed, and consecrated, which means then it is hallowed. It is hallowed ground. It is something that now has a direct religious connection. And when you do the opposite, you have to do the opposite to that, which is deconsecrate. So you have to take away all of that. And by that, well, I suppose if you've got graves as well, and I remember your friend, outside her front door, there were gravestones. But I think the bodies were moved, weren't they, Steve?
No, they weren't.
Oh,
this is the thing. They actually weren't. So she was living in a house, and her garden, there were gravestones in it.
Outside the front door.
And when you went to visit her, you walked through, it was very odd. But Lewis is going.
Yes.
Bye, Lewis.
I'm not surprised.
Hope we're not depressing you too much.
I think I want to go.
So shall we move the subject on, Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
But
this went.
People wanted to talk about
No,
it. So,
yes, you can. Well, people are talking about nothing else at the moment here in the UK. There are some people who are, dare I say, sick and tired of hearing about it. There are many people now complaining because, well, even you said the other day you think it's gone on a little bit too long. All of the TV coverage. You can't actually get news about anything else in the world. So it would appear that the only thing happening on planet Earth is this, because nothing else. But I noticed last night, I was watching the news last night, Steve, and they are now talking about other things as well.
Really?
So they are now slowly taking us back into, well, normality, I suppose. So,
I hope we haven't upset Lewis.
I don't think so. Why? No, Lewis always leaves at about 3:30.
Oh, right.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all right, Steve.
Oh, that's all right.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Don't
So
worry.
it's just the right. Oh, hopefully not. Yes.
That's it.
Um,
Don't worry.
Well, Mr. Duncan, you did have a subject you wanted to talk about today, but we haven't got much time left, have we?
It's almost impossible to carry this. Yes, I think Lewis is actually having trouble with the connection today.
Yes.
Because he was complaining.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Rosa says that. Thank you, Rosa.
Yes, at the start.
I thought we'd upset Lewis. All right. Yeah.
Don't worry. No, Lewis knows us now, and we know Lewis. So don't worry.
Yes. Fine.
Don't worry about it.
I'm feeling hungry, Mr. Duncan, and we are having something after the live stream today
Yeah.
that we haven't had for many months because the local bread shop closed down, but we bought some packet versions.
Okay, then.
Go on, just show them, Mr. Duncan. The we always used to say goodbye. We're going now to have a cup of tea and a tea cake. And today we are going to have some tea cakes because we bought some yesterday.
We bought some from the shop, but these are not fresh ones. These are in a packet, I'm afraid. So they're not. But we will be having one. We will be saying a little, well, I suppose we might have a little toast as well with our, when we say toast, we don't mean toast. We mean we say a little cheers, maybe as well. So a cup of tea and a tea cake will be coming our way at the end of today's live stream. Ooh.
Something, can I mention Mr. Duncan? Mr. Duncan was lovely with my mother when she was in hospital. And the last time I saw my mother was about
2 weeks.
About a week before she died. And Mr. Duncan remembered that my mother liked, well, my mother does like chocolate, but she particularly liked Kit Kats. And you brought a Kit Kat because my mother was, she wasn't feeling very well at all. She wasn't really eating. And Duncan brought in a Kit Kat for my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so excited. And she couldn't wait for you to unwrap that Kit Kat.
She was saying, come on, like this. She was saying, come on, I want to eat it.
Ate that Kit Kat down, and that really cheered her up. So thank you for that, Mr. Duncan.
Oh, okay.
Remembering
That's
that.
okay.
Those little moments are always quite poignant. Poignant. What does that mean, Mr. Duncan?
If something is poignant, it brings back a strong feeling of memory or feeling. So a poignant thing is, it's a little bit, I always think poignancy is a little bit like when you're cutting the roses in your garden.
Significant.
And then suddenly, one of the thorns sticks in you. You feel it. And I think poignancy is not just a thing that you feel, but also I think it can be physical as well. I think it can be a physical thing, poignancy, something very significant. But I think it goes it doesn't just go into your mind, it goes into your soul as well. A poignant moment, maybe a moment
to
of
think about.
a moment of reflection,
Yes.
a moment of remembrance, something that suddenly happens that makes you feel, wow, I remember that moment. Wow, it is poignant.
Somebody asked earlier about, what do you believe in after death? But I think we'll go into that. That's rather a big subject.
Let's just say,
and everybody has their own beliefs.
that's it. Yes, but if you're asking what I think, then
Mr. Duncan, I'm not.
well, everyone knows anyway what I think.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to be in jam jars. I think that tells you all you need to know. I'm going to be in little jam jars in a laboratory.
I'm not going to visit you if you're in pieces, Mr.
Well, you
Duncan.
you can keep a bit. Which part of my body in a jam jar would you like to keep?
I don't wish to think about that, Mr. Duncan.
Be careful. Be
I
careful.
don't wish to think about that.
Not the obvious one,
Uh,
because that would be a very small jar.
let's move on to the... Have we got time to talk about your subject, Mr. Duncan?
Of course we have. We've
20
got
minutes?
20 minutes. That's forever. 20 minutes is forever. That's how long those guards have to stand when they're watching the Queen.
Yes.
Even though one of them collapsed the other day. He was getting a bit dizzy and he collapsed. And then, of course, we had some drama on Friday night when someone tried to attack the Queen in her coffin.
Not everyone's a fan.
He did not last very long, though. He was dragged away. He was grappled and wrestled by the police. 15 seconds it took. So there is a word of warning. Be careful. Watch out. Don't break the law. What? Be good. Be good. Like E.T. said at the end of E.T. What? Nurse? Nurse? Can I have some more pills, please? So today we're looking at...
Mika says that. I remember my mother enjoyed eating a meal which I cooked the day before she passed away.
Yes, this is it, you see.
Well, that makes your Kit Kat look a bit unimpressive.
Yes, but your mother was in hospital.
She was.
She was, yeah.
And she liked Kit Kats. She had one, I think, most days. Or no, she didn't. She only had half of one. Because a Kit Kat is in two, and you break it in half, don't you?
Yes.
She would just have one half. She was always very, very good at holding back and not overindulging.
No.
In things.
But she did enjoy it. Your mum looked really... That's one of the...
Really cheered her up.
That's one of the last images I have of your mum before we left her, is eating the Kit Kat and being really excited about it.
Let's face it, there's not much to be excited about when you're in hospital.
There is not. Impact words and phrases, Steve. So we will go through this because I've spent a lot of time preparing it. So we are going to do this. Impact words and phrases. To impact is to come into contact with force. So we often think of impact as being a physical thing. One thing will hit another thing. Excuse me.
Are you burping?
I had some water earlier.
Belching?
No, it's not belching. That's
breaking wind?
I'm not breaking wind.
Oh no, that's the other end.
That's the other end. To impact is to come into contact with force. So we often think of it as physical. You can make an impact as well.
Sorry. Yeah. So if something comes from space and lands on the ground,
like the other day,
there is an impact. That moment when that object hits another solid object.
An object hit.
2 cars.
The other day, we had a big flying object crash. Yes, a big meteorite.
Oh.
Yes, I told you.
I don't remember that.
Yes, over northern England, a huge ball came from space and it landed, and it was apparently magnificent.
There was a tremendous impact when the 2 vehicles collided. That moment when the 2 objects hit.
Yes, so in that sense, it is physical.
That's physical.
You can also feel an impact as well. So again, it's when something hits you physically or maybe in another way as well, which we will look at in a moment. Figurative impact is emotional. So when we look at figurative impact, we are looking at the effect that one thing has on you emotionally, the feeling it gives you. So not something hitting you physically, but the feeling that it gives you when it goes into your mind and maybe into your heart. The feeling, the emotional feeling, can also be the impact. A moment of time can have an impact, rather like what Steve just said when we were giving Mr. Steve's mother her Kit Kat. So there is an impact, a moment that leaves an impression or makes an impression. It has an impact. A sudden event or situation can impact someone. So again, a thing that happens might have an effect on something else, to have an impact. So something that happens, well, I suppose we could talk about our own experience and also the impact of maybe what happened on a national basis as well, with the Queen of England passing away.
The Queen's death has had a great impact on a lot of people.
Yes.
So it's a significant event, and people are likely to remember it for a long time.
And changes will occur because of it.
Yes.
A sudden shock or traumatic event. Do we need to explain that one? No, I don't think so.
You could lose your job suddenly.
Yes.
Your boss could sack you, and that would have a great impact on you. But it doesn't have to be bad news. It could be, you could be getting married.
Yes.
And you might hear of somebody that's getting married, or you might be getting married. That will have a great impact.
Yes.
On your life. At the moment, the rise in energy costs is having a great impact on people's ability to pay their bills.
So it can be a positive thing or a negative thing. You can have a positive impact,
yes,
or a negative impact. Something that makes things better, and some things that happen that make things worse.
Vitas is going. Bye, Vitas.
To be inspired by something or someone is also impact. Maybe something you heard a person say or something you saw them do. So to be inspired by something or someone, maybe you read the life story of a famous person.
Yes.
And it has an impact on you because you want to do the same thing as they did. You want to learn from their own experiences. That thing has an impact.
A film.
Yes.
You might go to watch a film, or a piece of music.
Yes.
Can have a real effect on you. Something that is there, and you can't. It has a significant effect on you, an impact. Like two objects coming together suddenly. Oh, it's an impact.
Yes.
So Almira's going as well, and Beatrice, and
Yes.
Alessandra.
It's a busy day.
It's a busy day, yeah.
A busy Sunday. Sundays quite often
And Claudia.
Sundays are often busy. So see you all later, girls.
Yes, the girls are going.
They've got things to do. Here's another one. To make or leave an impression. So you can make an impression on someone. You can leave an impression. So imagine making your mark on something. One thing hits another thing, and quite often there will be an impact made, a mark made or left. And that, once again, can be physical, literal, or it can be figurative, maybe something you are expressing using words.
Yes, that's the thing about an impact. It leaves an impression. You're right there, Mr. Duncan. So if another object hits another object, a physical impact, there is evidence that has happened. Lasting evidence in the form of damage or something, or a crater. If it was a meteorite hitting the Earth.
Like the far side of the moon. Apparently the far side of the moon is just covered with impact marks, craters.
Yes.
So the whole dark side of the moon looks nothing like the side that we can see, because over the years, because of the way that the moon goes around the Earth, that side is always facing away. So that over the millions of years has suffered all of the impacts of the meteors and all of the asteroids that have hit it over the years. So that's why the moon looks different on the dark side than the side that we can see, with the big man smiling at us. One person's judgment of another. Yes. So maybe the impact that you feel from that person, you are judging that person maybe based on your feelings, the impact that that person has on you. So you might use it also as a judgment, as a way of describing their character, or the way they are, or the way you think they are. To leave your mark on another. And as I said earlier, it is always important to mention that it is figurative in that sense. You are expressing the feeling. So it can be real if you hit someone and you leave a mark. You can see the impact, the mark that is left. But quite often we also use it figuratively to show the feeling that it leaves behind. To be struck by something, once again, it is figurative. So you can be struck by something, an object, like a car or another person, but also you can be struck by something if it has a deep effect on you. You were struck by it.
Christina says the film Mission had an impact on me.
Oh yes, that's a good film as well.
And a good use of the word mission in there.
I want to say, why do I want to say Robert Redford? Am I right there? The Mission.
I meant a good example of how to use impact in a sentence is what I meant to say. Alessandra hasn't gone. I think people thought you were going, but Alessandra says that they're still here.
Yes.
So
yes.
Good.
Please don't go. Please don't go. To be struck by something figuratively, so not literally, but in the figurative sense.
So if I was to strike you,
you might leave a mark, the impression that you left on my face with your big fist.
So similar to impact then.
A lasting impression is a lifelong impact. So maybe something you experienced as a child, and that thing has stayed with you for all of your life. Something that you might not even be aware of it. So sometimes you can have an impact on someone, or maybe you feel an impact from something, but you might not even realise it. So it can change the way you think, even if you don't realise it has changed the way you think. So that sometimes
losing a limb will
Yeah.
have a lifelong impact.
Yes.
If you were to lose a leg or an arm, people obviously, soldiers at war often get severely injured, they lose limbs, landmines, that sort of thing. You could say that would have a lifelong impact on that person.
Yes.
Robert De Niro.
Was in Mission.
Yes.
Mission. Is it because maybe I'm getting confused with another film. I wonder which film I'm thinking of. Mission. I wonder.
It is a bank holiday tomorrow in the UK, Palmyra. Yes, it's not actually a bank holiday.
No, it's a special public holiday.
It's a public holiday, but they want to turn it into. There are a lot of people trying to turn the Queen's funeral day into an annual holiday, and they would probably then call it a bank holiday. But it's not actually. It's actually called a public holiday tomorrow because it's not a regular event at the moment. If it becomes a regular annual event, they will probably call it a bank holiday, won't they?
Yes.
And we just say bank holiday because, it's only the banks that aren't working normally. Go on.
As you know, in Trafalgar Square, there are lots of monuments and statues, and apparently there is one place where there is supposed to be a statue, but there isn't. And apparently they're saying now that that this particular area, they might put a statue of Queen Elizabeth on that missing statue. So I think it's the 5th plinth, they call it. And it's always had nothing there. I can't remember why. I think maybe they ran out of marble, or they just couldn't think of what to put there. But they're saying now that maybe in Trafalgar Square, maybe the Queen of England will be on that plinth. The missing statue could be that of the Queen.
That will cause quite an impact
I think
for
so. Yeah.
tourists.
Yeah.
Actually, can I just mention something that Palmyra said earlier? Hello, Palmyra.
Okay.
And in fact, it's a bit of a misconception, because we found this out ourselves, because we actually thought the same thing. The soldiers, the beefeaters, and the various military personnel that are standing guarding the Queen in the Palace of Westminster. No,
it is Westminster Hall.
Westminster Hall. They're standing there, aren't they, holding with their heads bowed,
with their stakes, their pikes,
and their various uniforms,
and the other guys with the big swords.
See, we thought this too. They were telling us that the soldiers are on guard for 6 hours. 6 hours. But they're not standing there for 6 hours at a time. They're on a 6-hour shift.
Rotation.
And so there are many more soldiers that you can see there. But they do it for 20 minutes.
Yes.
And then they're relieved, and then another set of guards come in.
Yes.
But they're still doing that every 20 minutes, and they have a 20-minute rest, and they go back.
Yes, that's not quite right, but
they're not there for 6 hours solidly.
That's it. So it's a 6-hour
shift,
but they do 20 minutes, then take 40 minutes break. So it's a 3 shift. If you see my meaning, so
there must be 3 sets of
So it's
soldiers or guards.
That's it. So the rotation takes place over 40 minutes, but there are 3 sets of people standing guard.
And then after 6 hours, a new set of people. So yes, so they're not. You see, that's what I thought, but in fact it isn't, because when you watch it live on television, they're changing every 20 minutes. But you'll see probably after 40 minutes, the same ones will come back if you can recognise them.
If you can remember that.
But yeah. Otherwise, how would they go to the toilet, as Palmyra says?
This is it. Well, those ones with the big long boots will be all right, because they can just sort of fill those.
Exactly.
What? That's such bad taste. That's it, you see. That's it. It's over. That's it. Our days on YouTube have just been cancelled just because of that one comment. That's it. What are you saying, Mr. Duncan? Are you saying those soldiers are weeing into their boots? No, I'm not saying that. Not at all.
But yes, they're very ancient costumes. Costumes is the wrong word. Uniforms.
Costumes.
They're wearing.
They're not in fancy dress. It's not a fancy dress party that they're going to.
These uniforms date back hundreds of years.
Yes.
And it might seem strange to some people to see that on television. It must look, maybe to people, if you're not in the it looks strange to us. We watch it and we think, those. It looks odd, doesn't it? It looks out of touch with modern society. But of course, that's the beauty of having these traditions, is that you have this continuity that goes on. It gives you a sense of national identity.
Yes,
and
but other monarchies do the same thing.
Yes, other countries will have their own ceremonies and their own traditions that make you feel part of that country that you were born in.
I like the Greek guards because they have the most amazing outfit. Have you seen the Greek guards, Steve?
No, I haven't.
Well, they have the tights.
Do they?
And the little tutu. No, it's not. It's not a tutu. But you must have seen them. It's literally.
I might have done.
Yes, I've seen them. They're in Greece.
Traditional dress.
I also like the ones that stand guard at the Vatican as well. They've got their big sort of. They look like giant axes. You wouldn't want to mess with one of them. They're the Swiss guards.
All dating back hundreds of years.
Yes. Well,
traditions that all make us feel connected to the country that we live in, gives you a sense of national identity.
Yes. Some people are a little bit more crazy about it than others. I think most people go, it's a good idea to have a monarchy, but that's it. That's where they leave the conversation. But there are others, to be honest with you, they're a little bit, what's the word? I want to say crazy, but it is true.
Christina Jackson, hello Christina, met the Beefeaters with their brightly coloured uniforms before the White Tower. They were so beautiful. And Christina also says that the soldiers, the Royal soldiers with their big black hats, very big busbies they call them, don't they?
They call them, or bearskins.
They're actually made of bearskin.
Apparently not anymore, for those worrying. Apparently the modern ones that are made are artificial. It's not real bears. So they don't go out. When they need some more hats for the guards, they don't chase a bear around and shoot it anymore.
Well, there aren't any left.
Well, not in this country.
No.
There are still bears in the world.
I know, yes.
Yeah, okay, Steve.
But they often faint. Go on, what were you going to... Yeah, let you
Nothing.
complete your sentence. They often faint in the heat. They do, Christina, because they are such... I mean, imagine having that big furry hat on your head. You're going to get a bit hot in the height of summer, particularly with that uniform as well. Yes, they do often faint. Yes, they're very tall. Yes, I think they're obviously designed to... yes, Tomek says that the Greek guards stand out.
They do.
I think I've got a vague memory.
Yes. They've got the long slippers. They look like they're wearing giant slippers.
Oh, you don't want to be disrespectful?
I'm not.
I know, Mr.
There's
I'm
no
only
disrespect. They do look like giant slippers. I also like the Greek. Have you ever seen the Turkish dancers as well? They're not guards, but they're Turkish dancers, and they just go around and around, and they wear this lovely sort of. It looks like a skirt, but as they spin around, the thing opens out, and they do this beautiful, beautiful twirl. In fact, they're called whirling dervishes.
Right.
Have you ever heard of
Yes, I have, Mr. Duncan.
The
yes.
whirling
I didn't know
dervish.
it came from Turkey, though.
Yes, Turkish dancers. They twirl and they move around, and everything flows in a beautiful way. The whirling dervish. It's a lovely word.
Well, Mr. Duncan, it is 4 o'clock.
It is 4 o'clock,
And
everyone.
I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm feeling a bit faint.
Right next to Mr.
Talking about soldiers with big hats fainting, I'm feeling a little faint myself.
I don't think you could ever be a soldier. Can you imagine Mr. Steve in the army?
I wouldn't have been very good.
You wouldn't last for a second.
I'd have probably run off. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows how you how you behave when you are thrust into war. Nobody knows, do they? I mean, for a lot of people, there wars around the world at the moment. They are being, put into conflict situations. It must be very difficult. But who knows how we would step up to the mark if we were to be challenged in that way. It would certainly have an impact, Mr. Duncan.
It would definitely have an impact.
Yes.
Yes.
Faint equals pass out. That is correct,
Yes.
Tomek.
To faint. Of course, the word faint is something that where a person feels maybe dizzy. You can feel faint as well. So you can feel faint, but you don't pass out. You just feel a little dizzy. You can say, oh, I feel faint. But you don't actually faint. You just feel faint or feel dizzy. That's a good way to end.
Ladies faint. Yes.
A good word there.
So yes, they are synonyms, I would say.
A good word, I think so.
Pass out also means to if you pass out. I think that's, if I'm correct in saying, if you get your qualification.
To graduate.
Graduate. I think graduate means to pass out as well.
Yes, in the army, normally used in the military.
Right. Give me those cakes, Mr. Duncan. Those tea cakes. I'm going to make a cup of tea.
For those wondering, tea cakes they're like little buns, little rolls, but they have currants inside. And
sultanas.
Mr. Steve is now going to put them in the toaster. And we are going to have tea cakes
with butter spread on them.
Yes, plenty of butter.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again for your wishes, your good wishes, your messages of sympathy, and I shall no doubt see you. It won't be Wednesday because I'm got business to attend to on Wednesday, connected with my mother's funeral.
Okay.
So hope you have a nice time with Mr. Duncan on Wednesday. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you haven't subscribed. Apparently, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, Mr. Duncan, when they were saying, it's one I listen to regularly on financial matters, and he was saying that a lot of his subscribers have noticed that they have been unsubscribed.
Yes, it happens. That's
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes.
I still say that YouTube doesn't like me anymore.
So please do check. Was it down at the bottom right-hand side somewhere?
It's underneath.
Check that you are subscribed to Mr. Duncan and that little bell icon has been clicked.
That's
because
it.
apparently sometimes something happens and you can be unsubscribed, so you won't get notified of Mr. Duncan's latest videos. And we have got a new one on at the moment.
There is a new one that I posted a few days ago before all the drama started. So
what's that about?
It's about being in public.
Being in public. So yes, Mr. Duncan put a lot of effort into that. So if you haven't seen that,
it took me
if you haven't been notified.
Okay, Steve. It took me 6 days to make.
Has got a new video. Right. Lovely to see you all and to come back. My voice is going. And see you on Sunday. I'll definitely be here on Sunday, Mr. Duncan.
And I am back on Wednesday. I think I might be here on Wednesday. Don't take my word.
Have a lovely week. Enjoy learning English and see you next time.
See you soon. Thank you, Mr. Steve. That was interesting. I have to be honest with you. If you told me that we would talk about all of the things we talked about today, I would not believe you. That was very interesting, in fact. Thank you very much for your company. I think it's raining outside. I'm just looking at the camera outside and it would appear to be raining. I think so. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It's actually raining outside. Can you see behind me? I think it is actually raining at the moment. Thank you for your company. Thank you for watching today. It's been interesting. We've had a lot of things going on today. A lot of moments. Some of them memorable and some of them not so memorable. I hope today's live stream has had an impact on you. Take care of yourselves. If you are watching the Queen's funeral tomorrow, don't forget to have a little glass with you so you can raise your glass and say cheers, Queen of England. Thank you very much for your company. See you soon. I might be with you on Wednesday. We will see what happens because everything is, let's just say everything is chaotic at the moment. And of course, until the next time we meet, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. See you soon. And don't forget, tell your loved one how much you care for them and send them the flowers. Now, ta-ta for now.